But we begin with the markets, as we always do, on NYSE Live. And joining me now in studio with more to talk about this market open as we await that Beta Technologies first trade is Ben Sturgill. He's the CEO of Smart Data Trading. Ben, welcome.
Thanks so much, Kristen.
Great to have you here at the stock exchange today. And where do we stand as we're just about 30 minutes from this open?
Yeah, I mean, I really am looking at the bigger macro factors that are coming into this market right now. I think that with the government shutdown, we're seeing a real drain of liquidity because we're not seeing that government spending. But with Jerome Powell getting on last week and talking about how rates are being cut, I think likely to be cut again in December, and the end of quantitative tightening, I think we're going to start to see more liquidity injecting in this market into the end of the year, and that's always been good for markets in general.
Yeah, we just, of course, had a rate decision at the end of October. The Federal Reserve cutting rates. We'll have one more decision due in December. How does that factor into your year-end outlook?
Yeah, it factors in significantly because the probability is that there will be another rate. Donald Trump has made it very clear that he either wants Powell to make that cut or he's going to bring in somebody else in the spring to do so. And so the better the financial conditions, the lower the rates, the more ability for companies to put that money into the market through employment and through spending, as you said before, in AI and some of the compute that's coming along.
Yeah, it's been such a momentous run that we've seen in some of those names. Indeed, the government remains shut down, yet we do see capital markets having a moment. Companies are trying to get out of the gate in Beta Technologies today. I did see an upsized deal price above the range last night. How does that add to the sentiment that you anticipate into year end?
Well, I think anytime you see an IPO come out above the range, it does speak to the sentiment of the market in terms of risk capital and where people are willing to put it. I think Beta is an interesting example because what you've seen in terms of battery technology with vehicles, now potentially we get to see that with airplanes. And so it's fascinating in addition to the network of charging ports that they have. So I think it's a unique case for Beta, but you're right, it does speak to the sentiment of the market that money could flow in there and bring that above the range.
Yeah. And in terms of where we go from here, earnings season, we've gotten through most of the Mag 7 companies, right? And they certainly have been leading this market higher since those April lows. We're still waiting on NVIDIA's report that's going to come November 22nd, I believe. How is this earnings season shaping up from your perspective?
Yeah, so far it's so good. I mean, when you see certain names like Amazon, as you mentioned, gap up significantly after their report, I mean, it seems like every day we're getting some news about a partnership as they have with OpenAI or some chip company. And so that's really what it's coming down to. It's coming down to chips. It's coming down to technology, advancement of processing. And so, you know, there have been some disappointing names that have come out, but for the most part, I think it's really outperformed and continued to help the market in general.
Let's talk about the state of the U.S. dollar and what that means for stocks. What can you share?
Well, it's the weakening of the dollar that has been correlated to the rise of the market since those April lows. I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that those lows and the drop came because of the T word, tariffs. But really, it's been the weakening dollar since Trump got into office, generally around January. And I think as long as the dollar, the DXY index, stays below 100, again, that allows for positive financial conditions for refinancing debt as well as for risk capital.
Yeah, risk capital very much in focus indeed. Are you looking at international stocks at all?
It's not really something I'm looking at because of what President Trump has said. He said it's America first. He really wants to bring things here. And so I don't want to look anywhere else when the man in the White House is pointing to our country and the manufacturing he wants to develop stateside.
What about cryptocurrency? Is that something that you're looking at in terms of a portfolio allocation?
I'm so glad you asked about that. Cryptocurrency is huge here because when we look at the printing of the dollar and when we look at the debasement of our fiat currency, I think you're seeing family offices, I think you're seeing institutions, even a lot of businesses that are creating strategic Bitcoin reserves because it's a fixed asset. And when you can print the dollar into oblivion, but you have a fixed asset in Bitcoin, it's the natural place to really fight that debasement.
I think it's fair to say that Bitcoin is a household name, right? So probably all of our viewers, especially if they're watching on X, they definitely know what Bitcoin is. Can that rally extend to other tokens, to tokens like Ether and tokens that might not be as well known as Bitcoin?
I think so. I think actually Bitcoin and Ether are two different trades. I think Bitcoin is a store of value because there's only 21 million ever created. But Ether as a token itself, as a technology, I mean, even the New York Stock Exchange, so many financial titans have talked about how they're going to be having a stable coin. And that's all going to be run on the Ether rails. And so, yeah, for people that just want exposure to that, I think the IBIT or ETHA ETFs for Bitcoin or Ethereum are a great place to do that.
What else is on your radar?
Oh gosh, I'm really excited about this Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac IPO that has potential. I mean, these things have been tied up since 08, 09. And so if Trump can actually get these things out the gate and create an IPO for them, I mean, I think the upside potential in that one is tremendous. Also like Qualcomm, QCOM as a name in general, again, because of that same narrative around AI and computing power.
Yeah, AI definitely is still a theme, very much palpable this year. Ben Sturgill, he's the CEO of Smart Data Trading. Ben, thank you so much for joining me in studio.
My pleasure. Thanks, Kristen.
Great to have you.